Before the story begins, I want to say something that may make some people uncomfortable. Not because it's cruel, not because it's unfair, but because it's true. I'm 85 years old now, and I've had enough years behind me to know that love and marriage are not always the same thing. A man can love you, a man can marry you, and sometimes those are two completely different things. My name is Beverly, and when I was 42 years old, I discovered that my husband had two wives at the same time. One of them was me. The other had no idea I existed, and neither of us knew the truth until it was almost too late. Now, before anyone says, well, not all men are like that, let me say something clearly. I know that. I've met faithful men. I've met devoted husbands. I've met men who spent 50 years loving the same woman with their whole heart. This story isn't about all men. It's about what happened to me, and about a truth many women learn far too late. Sometimes the person who promises forever is already looking for something else before forever even begins. I met my husband Howard when I was 23 years old. He wasn't the most handsome man in town. He wasn't rich. He wasn't charming in the way movies teach us to expect. But he made me feel safe. And when you're young, safety can feel a lot like love. We married after 2 years of dating. Our first years together were good. Not perfect, good. We rented a small apartment, counted every dollar, argued about bills, shared dreams over cheap dinners, built a life one paycheck at a time. When our son was born, I thought my happiness was complete. Howard worked long hours. I stayed busy raising our family. Life felt ordinary, and honestly, ordinary was exactly what I wanted. The first signs of trouble weren't dramatic. There was no mysterious lipstick, no suspicious phone calls, no secret hotel receipts. That's not how most marriages fall apart, at least not the ones I've seen. Instead, it happened quietly. Howard stopped asking about my day, stopped noticing new clothes, stopped reaching for my hand. The little things disappeared first, then the bigger things followed. Some evenings he would sit 10 feet away from me and feel 1,000 miles distant. I remember lying awake one night, wondering how two people could share the same bed and still feel lonely. At first I blamed myself, many women do. Maybe I wasn't interesting enough. Maybe I wasn't attractive enough. Maybe I had become too focused on motherhood. Maybe I needed to try harder. So I tried. I planned date nights, bought new dresses, learned his favorite recipes, tried to start conversations, tried to reconnect. But relationships are difficult when only one person is doing the reaching. The strange thing was that Howard wasn't cruel. Cruelty would have been easier to understand. He wasn't angry. He wasn't abusive. He wasn't even particularly cold. He was simply absent, present in body, gone in spirit. And that kind of loneliness can take years to recognize. By my late 30s, I felt like I was married to a man who had already left emotionally, but hadn't packed his bags yet. Still, I stayed. Most women of my generation did. We believed marriage was something you endured, something you protected, something you sacrificed for. And I truly believed every difficult season would eventually pass. Then Howard started traveling more. Business trips, he said, conferences, training programs, meetings. The explanations always sounded reasonable. And because I trusted him, I never questioned them. Trust is a beautiful thing until it's given to the wrong person. One afternoon when I was 42, the phone rang. I almost didn't answer it. I was folding laundry and figured it was another telemarketer, but something made me pick up. A woman's voice came through the line, soft, nervous, confused. She asked for Howard. I told her he wasn't home. There was a long silence. Then she said something that changed my life forever. I'm his wife. At first I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was impossible. I told her there had to be some mistake. She said she thought the same thing until she found my number. And then, in a trembling voice, she told me things about my husband that no stranger should have known. His birthday, his habits, the scar on his shoulder, the stories he told, the promises he made. Every word felt like another brick crashing through the walls of my marriage. I remember gripping the kitchen counter because suddenly I couldn't feel my legs. And then came the question that neither of us wanted to ask, the question that changed two women's lives forever. How long have you been married to him? When she answered, I realized that for years, Howard hadn't been choosing between two women. He had been living two completely different lives, and neither of us knew the full truth yet. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard that woman's voice again. I'm his wife. 4 words. That's all it took to destroy 19 years of certainty. I spent the entire night staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself there had to be some explanation. Maybe she was confused. Maybe she was lying. Maybe there was some misunderstanding neither of us could see. But deep down, I already knew the truth. Women know. We may ignore our instincts. We may argue with them. We may bury them beneath hope. But we know. The woman and I agreed to meet that afternoon at a small coffee shop halfway between our towns. I arrived early. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Then she walked in. She looked almost exactly how I imagined she would. Not glamorous, not younger than me, not some fantasy woman who had stolen my husband away. Just an ordinary woman. A woman who looked as exhausted and frightened as I felt. Her name was Lorraine, and within 10 minutes, both of us realized something heartbreaking. Neither of us had been the other woman. We had both been wives. We had both been lied to. She showed me photographs, family gatherings, holiday dinners, birthday celebrations, years of memories. And there he was, my husband, standing beside her, smiling the same smile I'd seen thousands of times, the same arm around her shoulders, the same wedding ring on his finger. I felt sick, not because another woman existed, but because I suddenly understood how much effort it takes to maintain a lie for that many years. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a moment of weakness. It wasn't a brief affair. It was a deliberate second life for years. Lorraine and I talked for hours. The more we compared timelines, the more horrifying the picture became. The business trips, the conferences, the weekends away, the unexplained absences. Those weren't work obligations. They were transitions between two homes, two wives, two realities, and somehow he managed it for nearly a decade. When I finally confronted Howard that evening, he didn't deny anything. That was almost worse. He just sat there quietly, like a man who knew the performance was over. I asked him why, not once, not twice, over and over again. Why? Why destroy two families? Why marry another woman? Why keep lying? His answer still stays with me after all these years. He said, "I never meant to hurt either of you." I stared at him in disbelief, because that's what so many people fail to understand. You don't accidentally lie for years. You don't accidentally build 2 marriages. You don't accidentally betray people every single day. Those choices are made one decision at a time. Then he said something else, something I think explains more broken marriages than most people realize. He told me that somewhere along the way, he stopped feeling excited. Life became predictable: bills, work, responsibilities, routine. Instead of fixing what felt empty inside himself, he went searching for a new feeling. And when that feeling faded too, he was trapped between 2 lives he didn't know how to leave. For years, I've thought about those words, not because they excused what he did, nothing excuses it, but because they revealed a truth many people never talk about. Some people confuse love with excitement, and when excitement fades, as it always does, they assume love has disappeared too. So they start chasing another feeling, another person, another beginning, not realizing that every relationship eventually becomes ordinary. The tragedy wasn't that Howard found another woman. The tragedy was that he never learned how to value what he already had. Our divorce was finalized less than a year later. I was 43 years old enough to feel my world ending, young enough to start over. For a long time, I carried anger, a lot of it, not just toward Howard, toward men in general, toward marriage, toward love itself. But age has a way of softening sharp edges, and now at 85, I can say something I couldn't have said back then. Howard's betrayal taught me something important. His choices revealed who he was. They did not define every man. I've known faithful husbands. I've known men who stayed loyal through illness, hardship, poverty, and aging. They exist. But I've also learned that love requires character, not just feelings. Feelings change. Character remains. That's why I tell younger women this. Don't only pay attention to how much someone loves you when life is exciting. Pay attention to who they become when life becomes ordinary. Because ordinary life is where most marriages spend their time, and that's where true character shows itself. As for me, I eventually found peace, not because Howard apologized enough, not because the pain disappeared, but because I stopped measuring my worth by someone else's ability to value me. The day I learned he had 2 wives felt like the end of my life. Looking back now, it was actually the beginning of the life that finally belonged to me. And if you're listening today, remember this. Never confuse someone's attention with their commitment. And never mistake someone's promises for their character. The two are not always the same. Thank you for listening to my story.